Hello, my name's Helen Starbuck, and I'm here today to talk about navigating your day-to-day banking. As mentioned earlier, I worked for actually the Royal Bank for 29 years up until last July when I decided to leave the bank and move into healthcare. The reason being is I became a full-time caregiver with my mom in 2010, and although it was the hardest thing to do, it was the most passionate thing that I've ever done. So that's why I've decided to not only help my mom, but start helping others as well. But with my background, I've been on the two sides of the wicket, you could say, as the teller, but also as someone going in, doing the banking for someone that has dementia. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is what exactly is your day-to-day banking, who should assist you, just a quick review on the power of attorney of property and what the financial institutions require, what a joint ownership account is and what some cautions are on having a joint account, best practices, talking a little bit about financial abuse, and then some resources for you. So in regards to your day-to-day banking or your day-to-day finances, it's balancing your bank book, figuring out your rent, utility, or long-term care payments, your medical bills, insurance payments for your car, home, life insurance, paying off your credit card if you still have a mortgage or loans. Also, it's your food and clothing, entertainment. Many individuals go to Tim Hortons, and it's tea for me personally. And then also some of your future requirements, possibly making your funeral arrangements. So I just had to add my little tidbit there. So who should I have assist me? These are some questions you might be asking yourself. Do I have a spouse that can manage our money? Should I designate a power of attorney? Can I send my children or a friend into the bank to do my banking? So in regards to those things, with a joint account, that's usually, if you have a joint account, it's going to be with your spouse, and definitely they can go in and do all the banking that they need to do for you. If you've assigned a power of attorney, they can also go in and do banking for you. But if you're just sending in your child, a friend to do some basic banking, pay a bill, they cannot do that for you. Okay, so unfortunately you can't just send anyone in with a check written out to Bell Canada to pay your bills. They need to actually be registered on your account either as a joint owner or as a power of attorney. Now, in regards to just the quick review on a power of attorney, a power of attorney does not own your money. They only manage your money, okay? Sorry. So therefore, the power of attorney actually has to keep detailed records of any money they are taking out of your bank account. So if they are buying you groceries, they're going to keep the receipt. They're going to always go through your statement and check it month to month to make sure that there's nothing going out of the account incorrectly. There's two types of power of attorneys of property. There's a general power of attorney, but it is only valid while you are still competent or mentally capable. Therefore, you do want, if you already have a power of attorney, you want to review it to make sure you have an enduring or continuing power of attorney. That is the only one that will continue on once you've been designated no longer competent. And also, if you don't have a power of attorney, a family member could go to the courts to request to become your power of attorney. That would cost them some extra dollars to do that. Or the court can actually assign someone, including the Office of Public Guarantee and Trust. Guardian and Trust, sorry. So when you are thinking of your power of attorney, you want to make sure that it's a legal binding item. So you want to make sure you trust that person implicitly. when presenting a power of attorney, both the account holder and the power of attorney, or attorneys, if you have two registered, must be present at the financial institution. And this is if you're still at the stage of being mentally capable of assigning your power of attorney. If you're not physically capable to go in, a lot of financial institutions will come out to you to set your power of attorney up. But they do need to speak with the account holder or the individual with the dementia to confirm that they are capable to make that decision to add someone onto the account. And they usually want to do that face-to-face. If the account holder has already been deemed no longer capable to make their own financial decisions, then a doctor's note would be required along with the power of attorney documents for, say, myself to go in to register as your power of attorney. Okay? As the power of attorney document is a legal document, the financial institution has a right to verify its authenticity. Unfortunately, there are fraudulent power of attorneys out there. So what happens is they would actually send those documents down to their legal department to have them verified. Sometimes they will call your lawyer to verify that it's the most up-to-date power of attorney. So it can take between 5 to 10 business days before your power of attorney would be able to access your bank account. A lot of people believe that they can just walk in with a power of attorney document and have access right that moment, but that's untrue. We do still need to verify it is a true document. And also, when you're presenting a power of attorney, the power of attorney also needs to present appropriate identification. So your financial institution wants to verify that, yes, the person in front of me is the person that's listed on the document. And that's the same as opening a bank account, your driver's license, a passport, birth certificate. Usually 2 pieces of identification are required. And just in case anyone knows who the Simpsons are. Now, in regards to joint accounts, there are some cautions that you need to be aware of. When you are making an account joint, you are telling your financial institution that all account holders on that account have equal opportunity to that money. It's not, so it's my bank account and I add Susan to my account to assist me. It's now her legal money as well. She's not just accessing it on my behalf anymore. It's our money together. So therefore, the financial institution cannot prevent the new joint account holder from using the funds for their own personal use. And this actually does happen with your children, a friend that you've made joint. They might decide to go out and buy themselves a new vehicle with your cash, which you're actually looking for to pay for if you have to go into long-term care. And if that does happen, yes, you can attempt to sue them, but you've actually given them the legal right to spend that money how they wish. Also, if the account holder that you've added onto your account has any debt out there, be it a mortgage, Canada Revenue Agency, your lenders, Canada Revenue Agency can actually seize your money for their bill. Because again, you've said that this money is ours together. The other small point on that is, say you do add your child, daughter or son, and they're married when you add them to your account. If they should get divorced, even though your son-in-law or daughter-in-law is not joint on the account, that is now part of their marital assets. So they could potentially request some of those funds during divorce proceedings. A lot of people don't realize that when you add your kids. So best practices, as was mentioned earlier, you want to start making a plan now on who will assist you with your banking. If you have a joint account with a spouse, if you tend to be the banker of the family, make sure you train your spouse on where all the bills are, how you actually manage that account. And in regards to that, my mom, even though we had no idea that she would be diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, when my dad retired, it was a just in case something happened to her, she actually trained my dad. It took about 3 or 4 months, but she made sure he reconciled the bank accounts, the Visa statements, knew where all the bills were kept. And that's just a good practice for anyone that is married. While mentally capable, do the banking together. So as the individual does have to relinquish control, it might lessen the stressors. Talk to the bank representative together. If you can, request talking to a retirement planner. The reason being is they actually are trained to think long forecast financial strategies. So even if you don't feel that you have funds to get you through things, they can help with ways to do that. And also, if you haven't done so, get Lynn to visit. They actually can also advise you of other services out there to help with funding. I'm just going to, in regards to, the account holder and their dependents, so even though most individuals with dementia are in the senior category, they're not always, so they may have dependents. You always want to look at everything of the financial needs met for them first before worrying about leaving an estate for children or anyone else, because you don't know how long that life span will be. And one special note on that is don't sign over your home to a child. And I actually know this from personal experience in our family. My uncle signed over his home to his son, thinking that he would live out his life with his son. Within a few months, my cousin was kind enough to kick him out. So it unfortunately does happen. My uncle thought he had a fantastic bond with my cousin, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Consider downsizing your home sooner rather than later. As Ron had mentioned, you want to get used to your new surroundings. Consider the home renovations. And there's also programs out there to help you with home renovations. Unfortunately, the home renovation tax credit is not available currently. Hopefully they might reinstate it again. But there are grants out there, such as with March of Dimes. Once you have your PO, power of attorney in place, make sure you sit down with your whole family. So even though my parents had assigned me as their power of attorney, they included my brother in the discussions to let him know why they've made those choices, so that hopefully as we move forward, and especially when we get to the estate, we will limit any family disputes, or at least keep our fingers crossed that's happening, because it does happen as well. If you do own your own home and you're a spouse, one might have to go into long-term care. You may want to talk to your financial institution about the CHIP mortgage reverse program. It's actually a fantastic program. It might be able to keep the one spouse that's still living at home there longer. Consolidate all your finances into one bank. They do suggest, or especially financial institutions, to have it here, there, and everywhere. But for the individual that has a dementia, having it in one location is going to make it easier for them. and then it will make it easier when the power of attorney has to go into place. Of course, the individual with the dementia should be the one that's selecting their financial institution. So it's probably going to be where they have their best relationship currently. Oops. For a power of attorney, or even the spouse, keep your financial records organized. Power of attorneys need to keep, as I mentioned, records. For myself, I have 2 separate filing cabinets, my banking or all my documents, and then my parents' documents. You can even use a binder to keep it, because you could be, by the courts, required to produce those if there was any concerns of mismanagement. Lastly, the hardest thing to do is plan a funeral. This was something after my mom went into long-term care that my dad decided to do, and we sat down as a family. We kind of knew what my mom's wishes would be, but we decided to, as a family, do both of theirs together, and we're prepared for either one. It's the hardest thing to do, but as I said, it does help in the long run. In regards to financial abuse, the only thing I wanted to really mention here is financial abuse isn't really done by a stranger, that person that's scamming your bank card. Majority of financial abuse is from someone you know, and someone close that you know. Your child, your spouse, a friend, those kind of things. So you always want to be cautious of who you're selecting to help. And of course, betrayal hurts most when it is done by your family and friends. If you ever have a concern about financial abuse or any kind of abuse, we do have an organization here in London called the Elder Abuse London Middlesex. There is a phone number here, but I've also put bookmarks at the back that has the contact information, and we help for all kinds of abuse, be it financial, physical, just feeling that your child's being more dominant over you because of your aging. Where you can find all this information, especially regarding power of attorney and joint bank accounts, is the ministers of federal, provincial, and territorial ministers have gotten together, and they've actually created a booklet about all different kind of things, but especially about the differences between power of attorney and joint bank accounts. Because again, the joint bank accounts is where we are seeing the most financial fraud from family members. And I think that's it. Okay, thank you very much.